What if a medical error put a stranger in your life forever? Worse, a millionaire father who despises you. What would you do? This is Ava Brooks' story. A simple exam, an impossible pregnancy, and a truth with a name and surname. If it were you, would you face it or disappear? Comment here. Ava Brooks woke before the alarm. There was no dream, just an emptiness that dripped down the bedroom walls. She lay on her side, watching pale light slip through the gap in the curtains. The city woke with car horns, footsteps in the hallway, the screech of garage doors. The apartment smelled of reheated coffee, drying cloth, and tired flowers. On the nightstand, 3 gerbera daisies drooped. She touched the petals carefully, as if apologizing for not changing the water. Her phone blinked. A message from Emily, another from a client asking for a bouquet. Not too expensive, but looks expensive. Her heart beat fast twice. She took a deep breath. The appointment at Aura Clinic was today. It wasn't insemination. It was an endometrial evaluation. Measure, observe, understand if her body was receptive for a future step. In the bathroom mirror, she saw deep circles under her eyes and a stubborn gaze. She pulled her hair into a bun, put on simple pants and a light blouse, almost tripped on the rug. "Easy," she said quietly to herself. Tried the old coffee. Too bitter. Took 2 sips and dumped the rest. The elevator stopped on almost every floor. A neighbor got on with a small dog that sniffed her clothes and wagged its tail. On the street, the smell of diesel, roasted coffee from the corner cart, and fresh bagels filled the morning air. The bus came packed. The push and shove seemed distant, as if the volume of the day had been turned down. Aura Clinic occupied a glass and steel skyscraper in downtown Chicago. The lobby was high, cold. The reception, impeccable. They confirmed her name, handed her a wristband with a code, and asked for signatures. Procedure, consent, potential risks. Ava read, felt the usual fear, and decided to trust. It wasn't a leap in the dark. It was a step with a flashlight. Inside the exam room, the nurse smiled with the trained smile of expensive places. White corridor, spacious office. "We'll give you a mild sedative to help you relax, Ava. You won't feel a thing." Ava nodded, lay down, adjusted the disposable gown, held her breath. The machine was on and quiet. She thought about the coffee she didn't drink, the music she forgot to play, about Emily saying that sometimes God arrives at the wrong time and is still God. She thought about Lucas. The name came like an echo. It didn't hurt like before, but it was there. "It's not the right time," he used to say. The moment passed, and with it, the idea of building together. The divorce 2 years ago wasn't explosive. It was a slow erosion. He wanted travel. She wanted roots. He repeated, "It's not the right time," until it became goodbye. Now alone, the emptiness in her uterus mixed with the one in her chest. The exams called it idiopathic. We don't know why. She saved every cent from her receptionist's salary. With a family history of early infertility, Ava couldn't afford to wait. Thanks to a medical grant Dr. Rose secured for her, this endometrial evaluation at Aura was her only chance to understand her future options before time ran out. It was the step before the step. On the 30th floor, Julian Thorne commanded Aura. At 36, he built the clinic from scratch and transformed it into an elite fertility reference. His office was a manifesto of minimalist power, dark marble, wide desk, view of the entire city. Julian didn't believe in miracles, he manufactured them. Love for him hadn't been reliable since Naomi Sinclair, his ex-fiancée, left him for a rival. "Loyalty is an illusion," he repeated sometimes, with a sip of whiskey. He stored his genetic sample in his own clinic, cold insurance for an heir under control. In the morning he reviewed success rates. The assistant entered. "The Medical Association Gala is tonight. The board expects your presence." Julian didn't look up from the reports. "Tell them I have commitments." The assistant hesitated. "Naomi will be there." Julian's jaw tightened for a moment, then the mask returned. "Let her come. She knows what she lost." In another room, someone moved a tray of samples. One code was seen, another wasn't. But this wasn't just carelessness. Chloe Berry, a lab assistant drowning in debt, had been approached weeks ago by a woman who never gave her name. The offer was simple: $40,000 to make a few adjustments in the system. Switch a scheduling code here, swap a label there. "Nobody will notice," the woman had said. "It's just paperwork." Chloe's mother needed medication. The credit card bills were suffocating. She told herself it was harmless. Just data, just codes. But today, the consequences became real. Due to the deliberate scheduling error Chloe created, Ava's appointment was flagged in the system as a different procedure entirely. An intrauterine insemination scheduled for another patient. The nurse, following the corrupted protocol, didn't just perform an evaluation. She prepared the catheter, retrieved the sample marked for that time slot, and executed the full procedure. Code VS001 was in the safe, but a sequence of clicks and falsified orders made the sample end up in the wrong place. The machine has no heart, but it has memory. It executes. When the nurse said all done, Ava's body still trembled slightly. She got dressed, thanked her, asked about the result. "We'll send it by email. The doctor will call to explain." The elevator took her to the lobby. The street brought the smell of corner bakeries, diesel, and a ray of sun on her shoulder. She squeezed her purse strap and went to work. At the flower shop, the soil pulled Ava back. She served customers, made arrangements, separated tulips. The owner, Mr. Sullivan, passed by with a pencil behind his ear and numbers in his head. During breaks, she talked to the plants. "This afternoon I'll change your pot, okay?" The day ended with feet lighter than her heart. The following weeks became routine. Get up, bus, flowers, quick lunch, old series, little sleep. Technical, neutral emails. The doctor called. "Good parameters, Ava." A thread of hope was born. When the nausea came, she blamed anxiety. The tiredness, the heat. A metallic taste appeared. Her cycle was late. 2, 5, 8 days. On the 10th, panic. "It can't be," she said to the mirror. No partner in years, nothing but an exam at Aura. But her body was speaking. She called her gynecologist, Dr. Rose. Rose had been a mentor to Ava for years and had managed to get her a special medical grant for the evaluation at Aura, a place Ava could never have afforded on a florist's salary. "Doctor, I need an urgent appointment. Something's wrong." "Come in the late afternoon. We'll see together," the doctor responded, calm. The office smelled of mild antiseptic and chamomile. Ava told her morning nausea, tiredness, sensitive breasts, delay. "It's like my body has changed and I don't understand how." Dr. Rose listened, asked short, precise questions. "From the symptoms, it seems like an early pregnancy. Let's confirm with a beta HCG blood test. If necessary, ultrasound tomorrow. Breathe." Ava blinked, breathless. "Impossible. I haven't had sex. I only had an evaluation at Aura." "I understand your shock," said the doctor. "Let's take it step by step." "No rush." The blood test was quick. Hurt less than the waiting. In less than an hour, the phone call. "Confirmed. You're pregnant. Come tomorrow for the ultrasound." Ava sat on the shop floor, leaned her head against the pot shelf. Pregnant. No joy came. Fear came, questions. Whose? There was only one place where something crossed her body's frontier. Aura. She called Emily. Cried, laughed, sobbed. Emily listened. "You're not alone. Tomorrow, I'll come by." The next day, the ultrasound showed a pulsing dot. 4 weeks since conception, 6 weeks gestational age. The timing matched exactly with the appointment at Aura. Ava went to Aura with firm steps, stopped at reception. "Hi, good morning. I need to speak with Julian Thorne, please. It's truly urgent." The receptionist maintained her politeness. "Mr. Thorne doesn't usually see individual cases. I can direct you to the responsible department." "What happened exactly?" Ava breathed. "It's not a routine complaint. It's serious. I'm pregnant, and I haven't had a partner in years. The only intervention I had was here, and I was told it was just an evaluation." The employee, still professional, made a short call. A security guard appeared and led her to the private elevator, floor 30. Julian's office was like the rest, clean lines, glass, marble. He was looking at the city, turned around. "Come in, sit." 2 minutes, okay? "I'm Ava Brooks. I had what I was told was an evaluation here 6 weeks ago, and I'm pregnant." He didn't blink. "Congratulations. Aura has good rates, but explain better." "I haven't had sex with anyone in years. The only intervention during that period was here. I came for an evaluation, just an evaluation, but something happened that I didn't consent to." He pressed the intercom. "Call Dr. Elliot." Elliot, middle-aged, attentive eyes, entered. "Good afternoon, Ava. Can you tell me from the beginning?" He listened without interrupting, asked questions, took notes. Julian stood, tense, arms crossed. Elliot's face grew pale as he cross-referenced dates and codes in his tablet. "We need to pull the records immediately. If there was a procedural confusion, we need to know what happened and who the biological father is." Ava shook her head. "I don't want money. I want to know what happened, who the father is. I want a test, a name." Elliot nodded. "There's a blood test, non-invasive. Our lab has advanced technology that can detect fetal DNA earlier than standard tests. We compare the genetic markers with Aura's internal donor database. We need your consent. I'll take care of everything and explain each step." Julian made a gesture of agreement, brief, 3 weeks of waiting. The advanced genetic screening required at least 9 weeks gestational age for reliable results. Ava worked, changed pots, tied bows, listened to wedding stories. The nausea came early and disappeared. At night, she laid her hand on her belly and spoke softly. "I'll protect you." Emily came by with freshly baked brownies and cat videos. "One day we'll laugh. Today, if you cry, that's fine." Maya, her sister, still didn't know. Ava postponed it, wrote, "I need to tell you something. Can you come by tomorrow?" The phone rang. "Maya, what happened? Your message worried me." "I'm coming." Half an hour later, Maya arrived with warm takeout and her hospital scrubs tied at the waist. "Where's my sister?" Firm hug. On the couch, Ava told everything. Maya was quiet for 2 seconds, held her hand. "My God, are you okay? And the baby?" There was no judgment, only care. "I don't know. I need to find out. I can't do it alone." "You're not alone. If it's an error, we'll fix it. Now eat and give me the numbers." In the morning, Maya made the calls. Elliot's secretary promised to notify when the result came out. 2 days dragged. "We can see you today." Maya was on shift. "Let me know as soon as you leave." At a discreet cafe in Lincoln Park, Ava arrived first, ordered water and didn't drink it. Elliot entered seriously. Julian came behind, impeccable. Elliot opened the envelope, read, paled, reread. Julian drummed his fingers. "Doctor," Elliot breathed, "the pregnancy is a result of Aura material. The advanced genetic screening compared markers with the internal database. Paternity confirmed, code VS001. It's yours, Julian. 99.99%. "Impossible," he said, dry. The cafe continued normal for the rest of the world. For them, no. Ava leaned back in her chair. Her head felt light. Elliot began, "We'll open and audit access tracking, chain of custody preservation, and we'll guarantee your protection, Ava." Julian stood, breathed, sat. "Okay, breathe. Let's organize now. Audit, communication with the board, protection for her, investigation of the leak if there is one. Nobody exposes anybody. It starts today." In the car, silence. The driver watched the road. Ava saw the city as if someone had pushed the model 2 inches to the side. Julian stared ahead. Pieces were moving. Elliot closed his eyes, not to sleep, but to give space. At night, Ava didn't sleep. Wrote to Maya, deleted it. Got up, drank water, remembered the test, the 2 lines. Woke early with body ache and a decision, not to collapse. "I'm nobody's fault." At 9, Elliot's secretary scheduled a meeting at 11. "We have a proposal," she said. The word made her nauseous. In the office, diplomas, artificial plants. Julian was tense. "I thought of an alternative to guarantee your safety and monitoring. It's not an order, it's an invitation. If you agree, there's a room prepared at my house with 24-hour staff." "If you don't feel comfortable, we'll adjust," Ava breathed. "I'm not anyone's property. I have my job, my house, my sister. If I go, it'll be my way." Elliot intervened. "It's temporary, Ava. The idea is to facilitate exams and emergencies. If any condition bothers you, we'll remove it. I accept with conditions. My sister can visit me whenever she wants. I continue working as long as I can. After birth, I return to my life. The baby stays with me." Julian nodded. Agreed. Dry, formal. But it was a yes. The penthouse in River North swallowed people. The elevator opened into the living room. Glass, light wood, expensive furniture, few stories. No photos, no memories, neutral smell. "Your wing is to the right," Julian said. Objective. The room was spacious, with a large bed and deep bathtub. They left white flowers. Ava thought of her mother. Sheets don't make a home. People make a home. The first days were an uncomfortable choreography. Julian left early, returned late. Sometimes they crossed paths in the kitchen. "Good morning. Good night." Dinners came from invisible hands. They ate at opposite ends of the table. She cared for a succulent hidden in her suitcase. He read reports. On the 4th day, Maya arrived with her hospital scrubs, hair-tied bag of fresh donuts. "Where's my sister?" The hug was tight. Maya looked at Julian, direct. "You're Julian?" "I am." "Okay. So let me be clear. My sister is not an experiment, not a project. If anything gets out of line, I'm taking her out of here today. Understood?" Julian held her gaze. "I understand. And it won't happen. You can hold me to it." Maya let out air, opened the bag, put the donuts on the counter. "Let's eat and talk nonsense. Good food solves half the problems. The other half we'll invent solutions for." For the first time, the kitchen smelled like home. The routine found cracks of softness. Ava stayed on the terrace in the morning, hands on her belly, looking at the city. Julian passed by, pretended not to hear. Sometimes he left a mug of hot water with ginger. "Helps with nausea." "Thank you." The tea warmed the silence. At the first prenatal appointment after the move, Julian went along, stayed in a corner. The doctor smiled, explained, applied the gel, placed the transducer. "Here. Did you hear? It's the heartbeat. Good rhythm. Strong." Extended a tissue. Ava bit her lip to hold back tears. "Thank you." Softly. "Hi, little one." Julian spoke without thinking. "It's faster than I imagined." One dawn with heartburn, Ava went downstairs barefoot, opened the fridge, needed a tall glass. The shelf was too high. The glass slipped, she lost her balance. Firm hands held her wrist and waist. Julian was there, sleeves rolled up. "Sorry for the scare. Hold here there. These shelves are too high for you. I'll ask them to lower them in the morning." Are you okay? Yes, thank you for, well, catching me. I was just reviewing some things. If you need anything, call, really. They stayed a second too close. He stepped back first. Her heart was in her ears. The next day, lower shelves. At the end of the week, messages from the world came. A website published a note, The Fertility Fortune Hunter. It talked about an ambitious florist who hooked the magnate from the 30th floor. Photos of her leaving the flower shop, on the balcony, on the curb. Sources close to the executive, employee who preferred not to be identified. The venom came with quotes, comments swarming. What Ava didn't know was that those photos weren't accidental. Chloe Berry, the same assistant who had switched the codes, had been given one more task by the mysterious woman. Follow Ava, document her movements, and send everything to a specific email address. The woman wanted more than a medical error. She wanted a public execution. Ava read the first paragraphs. Her stomach churned. The phone trembled. Emily, colleagues, neighbor, unknown numbers. Emily wrote, "Don't read. Call me." Ava was in the library when Julian entered. Saw her tense face, phone in hand. He approached, took the phone carefully and placed it on the couch. "Look at me. I know who you are. This here, these sites, say nothing about you." She breathed, hands trembling. "I don't know how to deal with this. We'll solve it. I'm already calling legal and communications. Internal audit, access blocking, board notification, leak investigation, right of reply, lawsuit. It starts today. And please, for today, don't read the comments. If you can, stay here with me a while." He dialed. Maxwell Vance. Maxwell answered on the first ring. He was the type of lawyer drawn with a ruler. Suit without wrinkles, hair in place, firm voice. "I need you to trace where the article came from, who paid, who leaked," Julian said, direct, pacing back and forth in the library, the city blinking behind the glass. From the other side, a leave it to me that wasn't bravado. It was method. The next morning, Maxwell entered the penthouse with a folder, a tablet, and a look that mapped the room without invading. He greeted Ava with respect, without pity, and Julian with the agility of someone who already knows the homeowner. First step, contain the fire. Second, find the match. He opened the folder on the coffee table. The article came from a site that buys hot tips. Freelance author. Editor with a history of accepting material without fact-checking. I identified 3 users who boosted the link in the first 5 minutes. 2 are bots. The organic one is linked to a profile that has defended Naomi Sinclair. The name cut the air. "Naomi?" Ava repeated low. Julian remained still. His jaw worked. "We don't accuse without proof," Maxwell cut in, objective. "We follow the trail, and we look inside. Does the clinic have logs? Who accessed records after hours? Who could have leaked Ava's presence?" Julian took a deep breath. "Let's go to Aura." The private elevator took the 3 to the server floor. The cold there was controlled. An IT technician, pale and precise, opened screens, access records, times, IPs. The forest of numbers became narrative. Maxwell asked calm questions, pencil between his fingers. Each click with a trail, each trail with a timestamp. He noted the chain of custody like someone stitching a report. "Here, access to Ava's record, outside standard hours. User, Chloe Berry." The technician zoomed in. "And here, attempt to export data blocked by the system. And look at this, scheduling modification on the same day as Ms. Brooks' appointment. The system flagged it as irregular, but it was manually overridden with Chloe's credentials." Julian crossed his arms. "Who's Chloe?" "Lab assistant," said the technician. 1 year with us. Night shifts, started well, delays in recent months." Elliot entered, waved briefly, understood the picture in seconds. "I don't want a witch hunt, Maxwell. Neither do I, the lawyer replied. Just the trail. They walked to the break room. A woman in her early 20s, hair tied in a tired elastic, deep circles under her eyes, looked up from her phone and froze. "Chloe?" Maxwell called softly. "That's me." Nobody pointed fingers. Maxwell asked to talk right there, in a neutral corner, and brought water. "You accessed Ava's record outside hours. You modified her scheduling code. You exported photos of her to an external contact. Why?" Chloe tried fragile versions. Maxwell didn't press, turned the tablet to her. "All of this is verifiable. If you cooperate, your story can be yours. If you lie, it'll be others." Her silence was a dam about to break. I have a debt," she said, eyes full. "My mom got sick in December. Medicine on credit card, interest. A woman approached me on my way out, said I didn't need to do anything illegal, just check names, confirm times. Then asked for a photo of a record. I accepted. Then they asked for more. She told me to switch a scheduling code, make it look like a different procedure. Nobody will notice, she said. Then she asked me to follow someone, take pictures, send them to an email. I used the money to pay bills. I regretted it. I didn't know it was personal. I didn't know someone would get pregnant. I thought it was just data. Her voice broke. Maxwell kept his tone. The woman's name? I don't know. Always called from a private number, but there was a deposit, 40,000, from an account I never saw. Maxwell noted number, bank, times. We'll need your formal statement, and we'll guarantee your protection. You'll be terminated and we'll answer, but you'll be alive to answer. Today you're coming with me to a hotel. No phone, no internet. We'll formalize with a lawyer and file a police report. I'll take care of the rest. She cried, low, like someone who only now sees the size of the hole. Nobody hugged her. Someone put a glass of water in her hand. In the car, antennas against a mute sky. Ava silent. Julian too. Maxwell in the front seat typing without error. At the business hotel, mid-afternoon, they recorded the confession. Few names, enough points. A woman who didn't appear, an offshore account, an intermediary who paid well and spoke little. Maxwell left the room with the recording and for the first time looked at Julian as a friend. This smells like Naomi. I'll prove it. And when I prove it, the decision about her is yours. About Ava and the baby. That decision should already be made. The late afternoon left the penthouse without noise. Ava went to the terrace, sat, watched the sky change color. Maya arrived without warning, like someone who knows how to read the map of pain. Sat beside her, took Ava's hand. They stayed in silence, with the city speaking for them. I should have told you before, Ava said. You didn't have to, Maya replied. You have me, and I have you. The rest will organize. Some days, I think I'll carry the baby forever, and when he's born, my body will miss the absence. And some days, I feel like they stole the script of my story. Maya looked at the discreet belly. We rewrite scripts with our fingernails. This baby is yours. It's from the love you have and will have. From the care you give even to sad plants, it's yours, and nobody tells you otherwise. Not gossip sites, not the 30th floor. Ava smiled from the corner. In the gossip, I became a gold digger. Maya rolled her eyes. If gossip made law, hospitals would become town squares. Julian appeared at the terrace door, stopped 2 steps away. We have a lead, a confession. It was sabotage. The word cut the air. Maya stood, body on alert. Who? Julian inhaled, exhaled. We don't have the direct name yet. The lines point to someone who wanted to destroy the clinic's reputation and used Ava as the weapon. Maxwell is closing the evidence. Maya crossed her arms. Meanwhile, my sister gets beaten up on the internet. Julian held her gaze. I know, I'm going to speak, officially, carefully, without exposing the baby or medical data, but we'll defend the truth. Maya measured and nodded briefly. I'll hold things here. You hold the rest. The press release came out the next day, short, firm. Aura informed of identified irregularities, measures in progress, formal investigation, legal action against insinuations, requests to platforms for removal of defamatory content and log preservation, and commitment to Ava's privacy. It wasn't romance. It was ammunition, enough to stabilize part of the ground. Comments still thorny, but voices emerged asking for caution and remembering that lives were at stake. Emily did what she knew, flooded the networks with good things, plants, dogs, recipes. Feed your eyes with good things, she sent. Beauty vitamins for the brain. Maxwell spent 2 days immersed in data. The transfers to Chloe came from an offshore with a generic name, Meridian Ventures. Trail in tax haven is smoke, but there's always a lit but. An email of instructions, a message on the app, a wrong time. He found a link, a consulting firm that had already provided service to Naomi Sinclair's company, and that, by coincidence, paid Meridian. On the map of those who want culprits, it seemed obvious. On Justice's, evidence was still lacking. I want to talk to her, Julian said. Maxwell raised his eyes. Without the package closed, she'll turn you inside out and come out the victim. Julian nodded, but the desire burned. Then closed the package. Maxwell smiled sideways. It's coming. On the 3rd day, it arrived. Human error from someone who thinks they're infallible. Naomi's assistant forwarded herself an email about resolving the Aura situation and accidentally copied an old corporate address of Maxwell's, bait he maintained for exactly these situations. Attachment, PDF with contact points and payment schedules that isolated were smoke. Added to logs, transfers and confession became enough fire. Maxwell organized the folder with physical and digital copies, like someone adjusting a groom's jacket. Let's do this right, he said to Julian. No scene, no yelling. You call, show, say what's necessary, and tell her to leave. The rest is with me. Julian nodded and called. Naomi, I need to talk to you. Today. Here. From the other side, the voice came sweet and sticky. What a coincidence, me too. At 11:27, the elevator beeped. Naomi entered as if stepping on a carpet she invented. Dark dress, expensive perfume, trained smile. Julian, she sang, arms open without embrace. So good to see you. He didn't smile, pointed to the table. Sit. She crossed her legs, fixed her hair, and displayed a ring that was no longer the one from before. I heard about your situation. Wanted to warn you. These girls... Julian didn't let her finish. Opened the folder and aligned papers. Logs, transfers, the wrong email. Chloe's confession, photos with timestamps. Recognize this? He asked without raising his voice. Naomi arched her eyebrow. What a performance. This proves nothing. In business, everything is interpretable. Then interpret. His voice came smooth. She flipped through, returned, deflected. Her pupils dilated for a second. The smile cracked and reappeared smaller. You always liked theater, Julian. But what do you want? For me to say it was me to give you the pleasure of expelling me? He just looked. Something behind his eyes lit up cold. You didn't just mess with my clinic. You orchestrated a medical procedure on an innocent woman without her consent. You created a pregnancy as a weapon. You used a baby, my baby, as a tool to destroy my reputation and my business. Why? Naomi shrugged, the first human gesture of the night. Because you only respect what hurts the balance sheet. I wanted the world to see you as a predator by using your own sample. I ensured you'd lose your medical license and your empire in the biggest ethical scandal Chicago has ever seen. I wanted you to lose everything." Julian stood, cold anger. "It's over," pointed to the door. "You're leaving now. You'll receive a lawsuit that will occupy you for years. You'll return every cent. You'll answer for sabotage, conspiracy, breach of confidentiality, and moral damages. And you'll spend the rest of your life remembering you plotted against a baby." Her look leaked, not guilt, risk. "You don't have the courage," she tested, knowing his weaknesses. "I do." The word fell heavy. 2 security guards appeared without noise. Naomi grabbed her purse, stood with elegance. In the elevator, she looked over her shoulder. "She's not you, Julian. Won't stand you when the shine fades." The door closed. The elevator descended. Silence rose. Julian's body took time to understand it could relax. When it relaxed, exhaustion came, weight on eyelids, a taste of iron. He walked to the terrace for air. Ava was there, leaning on the railing, light jacket on her shoulders. The city was a map of lights and shadows. "She confessed without confessing," he said. "Maxwell has what he needs. The clinic will change protocols. She'll answer. And I—" He stopped. The sentence had no ground. Ava looked in profile. The wind moved her hair a little. "And you?" Julian took 2 steps, just 2. "I was blind. Treated you as part of the problem when you were the only part that wasn't a problem. Let my past drive the present. I was wrong." The last 2 words came without armor. Ava stayed silent. Sometimes forgiveness needs to breathe. "I'm not innocent of everything either," she said. "I said yes to a proposal that took me from my place, out of love for my baby. But I said it. Let myself be swallowed by a house that wasn't mine. Let a part of me go silent." Their eyes met. "But you defended me when it was easier not to, took my phone when I was going to fall into a hole, brought ginger tea, came with me to hear a heartbeat that wasn't just yours, and even so, was." Julian took a step. "May I?" It wasn't about what. It was permission to enter her space. Ava nodded. Minimal. The kiss came delicate like touching healing skin, and whole like crossing a desert of words, brief and complete. When they pulled apart, they were lighter than what they let fall and heavier than what they assumed. In the following days, the house learned new geography. There were still silences, but they were of listening. Maya came by more, not just to watch. Brought soups, sat on the couch, laughed loud, told stories from the shift. A guy came in saying his arm had fallen off. It was his watch. Ava laughed with her hand on her belly. Julian laughed at their laughter. Dinners moved from the ends to a comfortable middle. Sometimes they ate at the counter, sometimes on the couch, plate on lap and documentary paused, because conversation always pushed the TV to later. Aura became a construction site. Protocols rewritten, credentials reviewed, training redone. Elliot led like someone holding up a bridge, went room by room, listened, fired, rebuilt. "We take care of wombs. Today, we take care of hearts," he said in a meeting, and nobody found it corny. A sunny Saturday gave truce. Ava and Julian went to the farmer's market in a cap and mask, disguises that make sense for those who wear them. Bought mangoes, shared a pastry that burned Julian's tongue, and Ava laughed at him with new affection. At a stand, a lady who doesn't read gossip because the soap opera is enough for me, praised Ava's skin. Pregnancy gives that glow. Ava thanked with moist eyes. The world became simple for a moment. At night, Emily showed up with a bag of movies, popcorn, and a party hug. "Today I came to make noise and forget the internet." The 3 sat on the couch. Maya arrived later with a pint of chocolate fudge ice cream. "Pregnant women need reasons to exist, and this is one. Julian, lost among so many sweets, took a spoon, tried it, and widened his eyes. "This is dangerous." They laughed. The house, once with echo, now returned laughter. Midweek, the clinic gathered former patients to reinforce security and open a direct channel. Julian went up to the auditorium without a teleprompter, spoke little, that they failed, that they corrected, that each life there was greater than numbers. Answered hard questions without deflecting. At the end, a woman with small hands stood up. "My son is 3 years old because of you. I'm sad and angry about what happened, but I'm also here." The applause was short and sincere. Julian came down and thanked, and it was he who was thanking. At night, Ava waited for him on the terrace with 2 mugs of tea. "You did well." He smiled, tired. "I just told the truth. It's not always easy." They stood looking at the city. The baby kicked hard. Ava took Julian's hand and guided it to the right spot. "Feel?" He felt. His face opened in boyish amazement. "He kicked me." "You deserved it," Ava joked. They laughed. For a moment, the world fit in that small movement. 2 days later, Maxwell called late. "It's ready." Julian held his breath. "The lawsuit is filed, the complaint closed, evidence attached. I drafted a letter to the press in your name. No spectacle." Julian said yes. "One more thing," Maxwell added. "The network that spread the article. I bought the main bot's domain. Now, anyone who tries to access it lands on a page with Maya's recipe." Julian laughed out loud, for the first time in weeks. "Criminal for good." "Artisan," Maxwell corrected, smiling. When the letter came out, the effect was different. It had name and face. Julian signed, apologized, took responsibility for the clinic, informed of actions against those responsible, and asked for respect for Ava's privacy. The internet stirred. It didn't become paradise, but the wind changed. In the real world, where Ava needed to exist, the flower shop cashier stopped whispering, the elevator neighbor stopped looking sideways, and the bakery lady put an extra bread in the bag. Small, public policies of tenderness. Ava's body continued telling the baby story. Nausea subsided, sleep waned in the late afternoon, and mood learned to complain gracefully. "I cry at soap commercials," she confessed. Julian made lists that didn't fit in spreadsheets. Teas, fruits, positions to sleep, music that calmed, hours to be quiet and just be. On a warm Tuesday, the doorbell rang. Maya entered with her bag across, and 15 minutes before her shift. "I came to see you and the bread." The bread was rising in the oven. The smell invaded the room. "If this were law, nobody would fight," she decreed, opening the oven. Julian arrived with the oven mitt and carefully removed the pan. The bread crackled. Ava closed her eyes to feel. "If my son's first smell is this, he'll be a good person." "He already is," Maya said. Later, the house quiet, Julian went to the library and picked up a book he'd never read. Not for him, for Theo. Read 3 pages in a low voice, practice for the future that was coming. Stopped at a sentence about promises. In the hallway, Ava leaned against the doorframe and watched without him seeing. Her heart did something it hadn't done in years, expanded without fear. The next morning, the summons for Naomi arrived. Maxwell was already mapping the probable defense. "They'll paint you as controlling, say the clinic fails, bring resentful ex-employee, and try to force you to settle." Julian listened, and for the first time, didn't want to solve it in a phone call. "We hold firm, for the baby, for Ava, for the clinic that remains after the dust." Maxwell nodded, approving. "And for you." Julian didn't deny. In the afternoon, Ava and Julian went to a childbirth preparation class. Small room, other bellies. A doula explained breathing, positions, the body's work. Ava saw herself there among others and felt less like an island. Julian, who dominates rooms, was a student there, paid attention like someone assembling something fragile. In the tennis ball dynamic, he hesitated, found the right spot, and Ava relaxed. At the end, the doula looked at them both with practical tenderness. Looking heels. Touching with respect, too. At night it rained, smell of earth and washed asphalt. Ava laid her head on Julian's lap on the couch, feet covered by a blanket. He ran his hand through her hair carefully. "I'm afraid," she said. "Of what?" "Of losing what's being born without us noticing, of waking up and becoming strangers again." He thought before answering. "Stranger is my native language. I'm learning yours. If I stumble, pull me." "I'll pull," she said, without opening her eyes. The dawn was calm, the morning generous. In the afternoon, unexpected visit. Mrs. Higgins, the neighbor from Ava's old building, arrived with a bag of embroidered dish towels. "For the new house," she said, entering with the intimacy of someone who knows a house's energy in one step. "And to say, they talked about you there, but I said gossip has short legs and truth walks in heels." Ava laughed and hugged the lady. Julian lowered his tone and received a blessing that fit well. "May God make you a good father," Higgins said, eye to eye. He swallowed. "Amen." On the weekend, they decided to assemble the crib. The box arrived with diagrams that seemed like another language. Julian with Allen wrench and seriousness. Ava read instructions aloud dramatically. Maya laughed, sitting on the floor eating grapes. "Piece B into C with screw X that never appears." "Found the X," Julian cheered, and soon lost it. 2 hours of screws, 3 of laughter, and 1 minute of silence when the crib stood. Firm, beautiful, real. Ava ran her hand over the wood and imagined smaller fingers holding hers. Julian rested his forehead on hers for a second. They said nothing. They said everything. That same night, Maxwell sent a short message. "Mediation hearing scheduled." Julian showed the screen. Ava breathed. "I don't want to see her face." "You don't have to," Julian said. "I'll see for us." She nodded. At night, standing before the crib, Ava spoke to Theo, told what was, promised what she could, asked for strength for what she didn't know, slept with her hand on her belly and dreamed of warm water and yellow light. The hearing was more theater than justice admits. Naomi arrived with a lawyer who seemed like the suit itself and the smell of someone who learned to win by bending rules. Maxwell and Julian sat together. The judge, tired and attentive, drew limits. There were indecent proposals and rehearsed phrases. At a certain moment, Naomi tried to fulfill the provocation from the confrontation night. "She won't stand you when the shine fades." Julian didn't respond to her, responded to the judge. "The shine that interests me now is the ultrasounds, and the sound that matters is the thump, thump, thump of my son." The judge made a minimal gesture of respect. Naomi smiled less. There was no settlement. There was a lawsuit. And in that room of paper and air conditioning, Julian chose less spectacle and more man. At home, Ava waited for him with a simple package, a cotton blanket knitted by her and Maya. "It's not perfect," she apologized for a loose thread. "It's ours," Julian corrected, running his finger over the thread like signing a commitment. Time finally passed like good time, at the pace of those who don't want it to end and therefore enjoy it. The baby grew inside and out. Ava walked slower and laughed easier. Julian, who always ran, learned to wait for the elevator without checking his watch. Maya taught car seat installation and diaper folding without turning it into origami. Emily brought a playlist that put out internal fires. On one such late afternoon, Chicago's sky exaggerated colors. On the terrace, Ava leaned on the railing. Julian stayed behind, one arm around her, hand open on her belly, as if holding the world if it decided to fall. The baby kicked again, and they promised, without saying, that whatever happened, that small body would have, at minimum, 2 giants making shade, so the sun wouldn't burn too much. The 3rd trimester arrived with a calm that deceived. Ava's body rounded into new curves, walking slowed, sleep became more capricious. There were days when she cried because a commercial showed a dog reuniting with its owner. There were nights when she laughed because Julian, disciplined, read aloud a book about breastfeeding as if studying a rocket assembly manual. Maya began making marks on the calendar, appointments, ultrasounds, baby bath class, dates to rest. Rest is also a commitment, she said, scribbling hearts beside them. One afternoon, the city turned grey, and the wind spun in a way that brought the smell of change. Ava felt a different twinge, a lower weight, the body preparing. It wasn't soap opera pain, it was information that only the body understands fluently. Lay on the couch with a pillow behind her back, listened to the sound of fine rain on the windows. Julian cancelled a meeting that seemed important until it no longer was, sat beside her, his large hand covering her small one. "If it's today, I'm ready," he said, staring at the ceiling, as if it were a promise written in invisible letters. "If it's not today, me too," she returned, and a small, complicit laugh united them like a thread. At the office, the doctor confirmed what the body already announced. Theo was ready to choose the path, and the path was ready to receive him. "We can wait. Everything's fine." Returning home with this kind of silent green light made everything clearer. Julian, who always lived by deadlines, breathed, learned to be on standby without paralyzing. Prepared the hospital bag, checked 3 times, wrote on paper what was already written on the phone, because part of him needed to see the plan in the physical world. Ava, who always trusted the invisible, felt safe. Separated the blanket she knitted with Maya, bought an extra pack of diapers, because diapers have the power to calm old fears. The eve of what nobody knew would be the eve. There was pizza in the kitchen and laughter in the hallway. Emily brought a box with handwritten welcome cards. "Hi, little one, this is the part of the world that will find you beautiful." Maya taught how to fold onesies into perfect rolls. Julian tried to learn, failed the first, got the second right, celebrated as if he'd won a championship. At the end of the night, when the lights dimmed and voices tired, Ava stayed on the terrace alone, hand on belly, heart calm. "Whenever you want, I'm ready. Whenever you don't want, I'll wait," she whispered. The wind made a caressing response. Dawn came with fine rain and the distant sound of tires opening puddles. At 3:14 in the morning, a contraction came like a wave that licks the sand and recedes. Ava opened her eyes without fright. At 3:22, another, a bit firmer, as if the water had risen a step. At 3:31, one more, now with a message. "We're going." She touched Julian's arm. "I think it's started." He sat up in one jump, and for a second the old Julian, the one of control, wanted to dress quickly and call the hospital, the driver, the world. But the new Julian breathed with her. "There's time. Let's time it. Let's breathe like the doula taught." They did exactly that. Lying on their sides, hands held, counted breaths together, punctuated contractions with, "It's passing, past." Theo was pushing from inside, and they were pushing from outside, each in their own way, all in the same boat. At 5 sharp, the time between contractions shortened and intensity gained voice. Maya, who slept there by stubborn intuition, was already up, putting on a shoe with one hand and combing her hair with the other. Grabbed the bag, checked documents, called a car, and messaged the doctor. "We're going." The elevator descended silent, and the doorman, who knows all the berths in the building as if he were Godfather, stood and waved with an emotional smile. "Everything will be fine. he said, like blessing without crucifix. The hospital had the smell of mourning and cleaning. The pre-delivery room, yellow light, white sheets trying to be cozy. The team, welcoming. The doula arrived with a Pilates ball and a voice that seemed warm water. Let's make the body talk to the body. Julian stayed on the left side, Maya on the right. Ava, in the center, was the captain of the ship crossing a storm known by those who already crossed. The hours were waves. There was breathing, there was lumbar massage with tennis ball, there was warm shower, there was laughter between one contraction and another because of a bad joke from Julian that being so bad became great. There was soft music, a distant guitar in some playlist, a woman's voice singing a simple mantra that said, "Open, a little more, a little more." Time dilated and contracted like Ava's body. At 10:40, dilation advanced. At 11:30, the doctor smiled with her eyes. "We're almost there." Ava cried without tears, that mute cry of holding the world's hand. Julian wiped the sweat from her forehead with a towel, and that gesture, so common, seemed like an epic scene. Maya whispered in her sister's ear an old promise. "I've got you, I've got you." The urge to push came like ancestral instinct. The air became dense, the room became small to hold so much life about to enter. Ava was the bridge. Theo crossed at 11:42. The cry cut the air like a line connecting two distant points. It was sharp, present, whole. A baby with tufts of dark hair and a beautiful mouth rehearsed the first protest against the world's coldness. They placed Theo on Ava's chest, and she received him with a look that no camera can truly capture. "Hi, my love," she said, and this phrase, said by so many mothers, always tastes like the first time. Julian cried too, not from pain, but from a joy so great it had edges. "My son." His hand, firm, touched the tiny foot, and the foot contracted like a secret. Maya cried, laughed, and cursed with happiness. "Damn, Theo, you're beautiful." The following hours were cotton. Theo nursed with that competence of those who never did it, and already know. Ava slept for short minutes worth nights. Julian sent few and accurate messages to people who mattered. He arrived. "Theo, everything's fine." Maxwell Vance responded with a fist emoji and a photo of a cake with the caption, "Justice served." Emily sent an audio screaming, smiling, crying. The doorman sent a "God bless," typed with effort. The city, out there, continued full of horns, but there in that hospital bed circle, the world was a cozy room where three breathed in the same rhythm. Back at the penthouse, the house was no longer the same. The crib seemed to have more meaning than all the architecture. The couch seemed to have been bought thinking of that family, and not an aesthetic, and the smell of freshly spilled milk mixed with the takeout Maya brought. The dawns came with their own choreography. Little cry, change, burp, silence, yawn, smile while sleeping. Julian mastered spreadsheets but learned to master diapers with surprising dexterity. There was a new mantra: I change. You eat. I rock. You sleep. I go. You breathe. And at the same time, both learned to ask for help. "Maya, can you come?" And Maya came, whenever she could, with humor and scolding in measure. "Sleep when he sleeps. Don't try to beat tiredness the hard way." Ava's intuition flourished with Theo in her arms. The body knew bath time. The look understood cry number 1 and cry number 2. The skin recognized what calmed. Julian discovered a version of himself he didn't know. Patient, silly, capable of staying 20 minutes enchanted with Theo's hand opening and closing as if catching light. There was a night when Theo didn't want to lie down at all, and Julian walked through the room with him in his arms, singing softly a song he pulled from childhood, without remembering from where. Ava stayed on the couch watching, and the scene scratched in her the simplest and deepest certainty a person can have. I am home. The world, which always demands accountability, demanded. The hearing became lawsuits. News became undoings. Naomi Sinclair disappeared from the radar for a few months, then appeared in a neutral note about travel and became less character and more past. The clinic rebuilt with reinforced protocols and a less invincible culture. Elliot remained friend and doctor. Maxwell Vance, as promised, was an artisan. Right threads, discreet ties, the fabric of justice being sewn with the patience of those who know that haste tears weave. Gradually, the case became more memory than presence. Theo turned 3 months on a morning with washed sky. There was simple cake with elaborate frosting, number candle improvised, with 2 thin candles side by side, laughter in shaky cell phone videos. Emily brought a ridiculously cute onesie with avocado design, Maya a little jumpsuit with a pocket that serves no purpose except killing with love. Julian took a photo of Ava breastfeeding, but not to post, to keep. To remember how beautiful what nobody sees is, he said. She kissed him quickly, gratitude that didn't need speech. Days became months, and in a year the house had a rhythm that was dance and every day. Theo crawled like discovering America in every corner and every shadow. Crying began to be sentence, smiles had authorship, steps attempt. There were afternoons when Ava and Julian looked at each other in the middle of chaos, toys on the floor, pot on the stove, tissue pack open, and laughed at the absurd that is life when it's alive. There were nights when they both fell on the couch and in 3 minutes, sleep defeated any series. There were mornings with freshly brewed coffee and fresh donuts Maya brought. There was, above all, a bond. The certainty that everything that mattered could be held with both hands, and that didn't fit in any spreadsheet. On the day Theo took his first steps, the room became a stadium. 1, 2, 3, fall in slow motion and applause that scared and moved at the same time. Theo cried, then laughed at his own fall, then stood with that courage childhood lens. That's how we do it, Ava said, emotional. Fall and rise. Julian, with moist eyes, completed, and when we can't rise alone, we rise together. A few days later, on a night with good breeze, Julian called Ava to the terrace. There was something different in the air, but she didn't notice right away. The sky displayed few stars, and the city, generous, was quieter than normal. The terrace had some candles, discreet, no ostentation. Ava laughed. "You're being romantic." He, nervous and contained, breathed. "I had Maya's help not to overdo it." She laughed. "Good thing." Julian pulled her close, hands secure on her waist. "Remember the first dinner here?" "I remember. I was at one end of the table and you at the other. It seemed we had an ocean between us." "And I saw you as prison," he confessed. "And I saw you as jailer," she returned without pain. "Today I see you as home," he said, "and I see you as path." The silence that came after was embrace. Julian took a small box from his pocket. It wasn't huge, wasn't flashy. It was beautiful, simple, with a ring that shone without shouting. He knelt, not because he needed the ritual, but because he needed the symbol. "Ava, I was raised to believe love was a calculation failure. You showed me that love is the only equation that when it goes wrong, teaches, and when it goes right, saves. You melted the ice I kept as armor. I don't want to propose because we have a son. I want to propose because with you, I like who I am. Marry me. Not for Theo, not for duty, for us." His voice failed at the end, and that, more than any word, answered the question. Ava's eyes filled like seeing the ocean for the first time. "Yes," she said, and it was a big yes, without fear. The kiss came as confirmation of what was already true for a while. Theo, who slept in the room as if participating, let out a grumble that became silence. Maya, behind the door, cried quietly not to spoil the moment. Emily, at home, received a photo of the ring on Ava's hand, responded with 50 heart emojis and an off-key audio singing, "I'm feeling something I can't explain." Maxwell Vance sent her, "About the most important contract of your life. There's no clause, just faith." Elliot responded with a long life, long health. The wedding wasn't in the marble church, nor in the high-ceiling hall. It was on the terrace, on a golden afternoon, with little fences of living plants that the flower shop lent, with Maya's recipes, Emily's cake table, playlist made with moments when life intervened with music. Theo walked with ridiculously beautiful suspenders and stole strawberry from the topping, leaving a trail of laughter. There was a short and beautiful speech from Ava. "Thank you for seeing me when nobody was looking." There was a short and direct speech from Julian. "I promise to hold your hand even when we think we can let go." And right there, squeeze tighter. There was silly dancing, curious neighbors, sky that cooperated, and there was mainly the after, the daily life that doesn't make news but is the only one that matters. The sound of keys in the door, Theo's first day of school, with little cry when letting go of the hand, the colored mask in the pocket, the note with the first crooked written word, the daddy and mommy echoing through the house like different and equal songs. The flower shop where Ava returned some mornings for pleasure, serving customers, arranging bows, receiving back the meaning of simple things. Aura, where Julian now walked not as king, but as guardian, and where he looked at people and saw stories before seeing numbers. The terrace, always the terrace, where they walked hand in conversations without subject that said a lot, where they ordered pizzas on Fridays, where sometimes they just stayed in silence watching the city be city while they were family. Naomi Sinclair, when she finally answered before the law, wasn't a soap opera villain. She was a woman who lost herself. Responded with lawyers and exits, paid with money and with small pieces of dignity. Wasn't part of their story, was an unnecessary edge. Chloe Berry restarted far away, attended therapies, became honest with the pain she caused and suffered. One day, years later, wrote a letter to Ava asking forgiveness. Ava responded with an "I move forward" that neither absolved nor condemned, freed. Maya, in her early 30s, fell in love with a math teacher who taught children not to be afraid of numbers. They married at the courthouse, with takeout and laughter, and her house became an annex of Ava's house, even in different neighborhoods. Emily opened a video channel of stories and recipes, and in one of them told the story of a cake that healed a heart. Maxwell Vance became Theo's informal godfather, teaching logic tricks the boy loved. Elliot began taking flowers to his own house, something he'd never done in his life, because he understood with Ava that plants also talk. On a night with good rain, years later, Theo asked for a story from when I was in the belly. Ava sat on the edge of the bed, Julian lay on the floor with arms as pillow, and she told. Told about steps in the clinic, the accelerated heart, the big city, the high office that seemed too far, the error that almost became ruin, the hand that held at the right time, the ginger tea that warmed throat and courage, the shelves that lowered, the words that delay but arrive, the process that becomes learning, the love that learns the other's language. "And then I was born," Theo interrupted, impatient, big eyes. "Then you were born," Julian responded. "And the house lit the light that was missing. What if the error had happened with someone else?" Theo asked, with that curiosity that doesn't spare parents. Ava looked at Julian. "Then the world would have invented another path for us to meet," she said, "because some things that are meant to be arrive through the wrong door, but arrive." Theo thought with tiny sage seriousness. "So it was an error that got it right." "It was an error we transformed into right," Julian corrected softly. Because life is also what we do with what they did to us. Theo fell asleep in the middle of a big yawn. Ava and Julian stayed a while there, standing at the door, watching. The sound of rain on the window was music that doesn't tire. The house, which one day was cold, now had life marks, a chalk line on the baseboard, a sock lost under the couch, a purposely crooked photo on the wall. Julian took Ava's hand. "Sometimes I'm still afraid of ruining it." She squeezed back. "Fear is good. Keeps us attentive, just don't let it drive." He smiled. "I'll let you drive." She laughed out loud. "We'll take turns." On the terrace, the wind brought earth smell. Ava rested her head on Julian's shoulder. "Thank you for being home when I only had walls." He kissed the top of her head. "Thank you for being path when I only had map." They stayed like that a bit. The city, as always, lived what it had to live. And they, there, lived what they chose to live. If you made it this far, it's because this journey also chose you. Sometimes life delivers an error wrapped in silence, and we on this side open it carefully, make space, give it a name, create courage, and transform. What error became right in your story? If this narrative embraced you, leave your comment, your like, and hit the bell. This helps us continue bringing stories that warm, provoke, and remind. Love is artisan work, day after day.